Good morning, everybody. Enter the stars. And thank God for good friends, people that you can talk to that help open up the mind and help us all to be better people. Okay. And when we think about the people in our life that actually offer us hope, and we can talk about the future of this world and how we all interact and can make this world a better place, there's probably a very short list of people in our lives that have made a difference, that can help us be better people. And I just want to say thank you to good friends out there. Now, I was talking to one of those friends in particular this morning about this reality and what we've been faced with, what we've been told, all of the lies that many of us have woken up to at certain points of our life. And when we are faced with these realities, many times we are also faced with deeper and much darker issues that we have to come to terms with. And that is this reality that we've been born into. And as the veil comes down and the charade comes down, we have to face each of these things for what it is. And for many of us, it can be a very overwhelming situation. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. I'm going to tell you some parts of my personal life and things that I've had to deal with. Many of you have heard some of these stories that have been on this channel for some time. Many of you are new to the channel. And so we're going to go very deep today and start to figure out how we cope with this. How do we redefine our reality? How do we make this life worth it? And is this life worth it? Now, the Bible tells us, keep your eyes fixed on heaven. But what it doesn't want us to do is not live in the material realm. We are in this world, but not of it. So how do we cope with this? How do we deal with this? Well, I'm going to start with a little story about a portion of my life in which I was fast asleep, living in the material realm. As many of you know, I worked in the pharmaceutical, with the pharmaceutical career, and was married with children and was fast asleep. Okay. Had a form of love, the love of God, but had no idea what that really meant, what a real walk with God really meant. And in this instance, there were portions of my life where things got really tough and things got really bad. And I bit the apple, so to speak. I bought into the lie that the reason why I was feeling the way I was feeling was because something was wrong in my brain, and that therefore this medication would be something that would fix the problem. And at first I rejected the idea more out of ego rather than truth, thinking that there's nothing wrong with me. I don't need that pill. And then I gave in. I gave in again out of a reason that was not justifiable, not a real reason to give in, but more or less the reason that I gave to give in was to try to save my marriage. I thought if I went on this program, that would somehow fix me and I could save my marriage. But at the end of the day, the whole thing was just a psyop. And I want to tell you about that experience and the fact that once I put those pills into my body over the course of almost a year, I realized that I had been changed forever. Now, for those of you out there that are in your younger years in life, and you've got doctors trying to prescribe you with medications, psychoactive medications, antidepressants, if you have not gone down that road yet, this is a video that you need to watch. Now, what are you talking about, Casey? Well, I realize now after the fact there was nothing wrong with my brain, but what I was feeling was the symptoms of the Matrix. I was feeling the symptoms of the world closing in around me and running out of options. And the world's solution to that problem is to pump you full of drugs instead of addressing the real problem, because they'll never face the real problem. They won't face the real problem because they don't want you to understand the problem. They want you to just be quiet and go along to get along. Because if everyone understood what the problem is, their whole world economy would come crashing down. All the elite would be drug out of their homes and put in prison, and basically God would be justified and believed in, and the list goes on and on and on. And so this leads us to what was the end result of that experience of being on that medication. And I will tell you this, that before that point in my life, I'd never, ever thought about this life not being worth living. And I won't say that I was suicidal, but I just didn't get the point anymore. I didn't get the point of why we are all here, because all of the things that I had found enjoyment in this life now seemed pointless and useless and stupid. Like owning a house, or a newer car, a car I enjoyed driving, or where I lived. Like none of that mattered anymore. And it got to the point where even a career was just pointless. Going into a job, being under the thumb of someone who's always criticizing your work, never thinking you're good enough, it really does not have your best interest at heart. And then them not having any loyalty to you anyway, after you've gone through all that sacrifice and pain and trying to have this person believe in you. And now you've got a situation where your entire livelihood is based off of your relationship with this manager. And I just simply gave up. So what's the point of all this? And the end of the story is that I had to redefine my reality. Well, how did I do that? And what is redefining your reality? Redefining your reality is beginning to look at things in this life through a different lens, being able to see things differently, seeing them from a heavenly perspective, seeing them from a perspective that God originally intended for us, stripping away the matrix reality, stripping away the physical reality, and looking into the spiritual and the mental. Well, how do you do that? Well, the things that on this planet are seen as like the pinnacle of living your life, such as a six-figure career or multiple degrees in college or 500 Facebook friends or a BMW or owning your home in a nice area of California, none of that matters anymore. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It's the opposite of what is seen as success in this reality. And when you begin to look at this life through the lens of the spirit realm, and you see the least amount of things that you can carry with you in this material realm, because you're not going to be able to take any of it with you into the next life. And when you begin to look at things in terms of having the fewest amount of friends that are real friends as possible, okay? When you start seeing things for the least amount of material possessions that actually have real meaning, and the list goes on. And when you see things through that lens, life changes. When your material possessions become a garden, and experience interacting with the life cycle of a plant, or managing the wildlife within your reach, interacting with them on a spiritual level in this planet. When you start to see things through those eyes, then you've redefined your reality. Then and only then does this life become worth living. You see, and until you cross through the veil, until you cross over completely into this new reality of understanding, you will be forever sad, depressed, lonely, and without purpose in this life. Now, I feel like I found my purpose in this life. My purpose in this life is all of you. And it took me some time to come to that realization that there are people that want to listen to the truth and that get something out of it, that actually enjoy coming to this channel, actually enjoy hearing and seeing all that there is, and that all of us work together as part of pieces to a puzzle to uncover these deep truths. It wasn't until that point that I realized my purpose on this planet. And I wouldn't pick any other job on this planet. Instead of hurting people, making people sick, now I get a chance to heal people mentally. And when your spirit is healed, then you physically feel better. Now I'm going to share something with you now that the Bible says we're not supposed to really talk about when we're fasting, but I'm telling you because my fast is over now and I want you to experience what I got to experience. That's why I'm telling you this. And there was this ticket that I had to restart my brain because the enemy was trying to bring me down, force me back into the matrix. We were getting hit with all kinds of attacks. And though my walk may not be the same as your walk, this is the task that I've been given, and I need to stand up for it and defend it and fight for it. And so therefore, when I found myself in a bad attitude and bad ways, trying to be out in nature with God, trying to connect with his life cycles and my God-given right, my pedigree, and everything else. And when that was put to a very quick stop, and I was robbed of that joy from the enemy, it was like I was in the garden. It was like I was in the garden. And there was the serpent. And amidst all the foliage and the running water and the creeks and rivers came the serpent to stand between God and man. And once I came to that realization, I said, what am I going to do? What did Adam do? Adam fought. He fought. And he fought and chose the side of God instead of giving into the serpent. And that's what I decided to do. And so I did what God tells us to do. And I was still. I was still, and I knew that he was God. And part of being still for me is to stop putting food in my body. And I stopped, and as the food began to process through my body that was remaining, and along with that came out all the impurities of everything that I had picked up to that point from the entire year prior. And literally it was purged almost supernaturally from my consciousness. And then a reset button happened. And I felt better as I kept drinking water, and it just, everything started over. And for those of you that are going through stuff, this is something I recommend. Make sure you drink plenty of water. My fast only lasted about 3 days. And it was amazing. I wasn't even feeling physically well before that. And all of that went away. So these are some things you can do to make life worth it. And I'm going to leave you guys today with that. And to also let you know that every single sentence, every single statement, every single act of love, every single thing that you guys do in the comment sections and messages that is positive, has a positive effect on my life, and helps me continue what I do. And it is a reflection of love when you come to this channel. Love bouncing off of each other, increasing and intensifying and magnifying. And the effect is probably much like what Christ was talking about. Loving even our enemies, as a matter of fact. And with all the chaos in the world, it's important to remember why we're here. Part of that love can be spent with the plants and the animals, but we must never forget that we all are human beings. And we have to keep trying to give each other chances to redeem ourselves with one another. We can't just stop interacting with people. Okay? As bad as we want to, as many times as we've been hurt by people and betrayed. But it's about boundaries. It's about standing up and protecting yourself, but then drawing the strength that you need to protect yourself from the Most High. And when you can do that, then you have more to give. Now, I've been blessed with this YouTube channel, and I will never stop making videos. I promise you that. In the beginning, if you look at some of my first videos, I say even if one person can be helped from this video, it was worth it. And I stand by that. I don't care how big this channel gets. I don't care how small this channel gets. I will stand by what I said. And I know things get dark sometimes. And I know that as we tear down the matrix and start seeing the reality for what it is an ugly truth. The Bible talks about that too. It says those who know the knowledge and the truth will basically have a hard life when faced with this information. But it's okay. It's okay. Because God is right there, and it's better to know the truth than live the lie. The truth does set you free. It takes away all of the feelings of insecurities, feelings of inadequacy that are put upon us by this matrix reality, never being good enough, competing in their arena, their losing arena of emptiness, unfulfillment, false promises, fake goals, control. We don't play in that arena. We play in the arena of heaven. When you keep your eyes fixed there, that is where you will find the truth. Go out and buy a plant today. Put it in your window. That's where this all starts. Nurture it, water it. If you can find a plant that produces something like a fruit or a pepper, that's even better. That's where it starts. Because that plant is not much different than you and I. And as we show that plant love, that plant is nurtured and it thrives. And you are reflecting God's love because God's love is what made that plant. And that's what it's all about, you guys. And if you can learn to do it for a plant or an animal, then you can learn to do it for human beings. Now, humans are a little bit more complicated because they can hurt you, they can sting you, they can prick you. But it's all a mental game. Because once we realize that they know not what they do, then we can learn to meet them where they're at and love them for who they are. Then and only then we can be the examples of the change that we want to see in this world. So you guys, it's been fun chatting. I'm going to give some shout outs. I see Life of Cal, Mel's World, Joseph, Rest a while. Biscuit Adkins, Pippi's in the house, Relevant Truth. Now, I'll be doing a decode tomorrow. There's Mark, K. Smalls in the house. On Westworld. And you'll not believe what I found in this series. I'm about 6 episodes into it. And in the opening episode, I play the intro to this series. And I couldn't believe my eyes. Now, a couple of you had told me that I needed to take a look at Westworld. It's an HBO series about an entire world manufactured for chaos. Yes, you heard me correctly. An entire world of robots made by their creators, injected with consciousness, algorithms, loops, data. And as they're put into this false reality, their brains are white. They are born into this reality. And when I saw the introduction to this series, the intro shows the eye. They live on the surface of the iris. There's no mistaking. This isn't decoding. This is actually where they live, under the cornea. And we've been talking about this for 2 years, you guys. We're going to go into detail into this in the live show tomorrow. I've got screenshots pulled up. And I'm going to break this down like no other decode that you've ever seen before. So if you're not subbed to the channel and you're watching, subscribe to the channel, and we'll get into Westworld. Now, I will give you a little spoiler that what they depict, the world on top of the iris, is actually inverted. Yes, it's inverted. It's not on top of the iris that we live. We actually live inside the eye. The portion that's on top of the iris, in other words, the part that looks out into this physical reality, is actually hell. And they depict that in the series as well. And we'll go into detail about the anatomy of the eye and how the inner eye is the model. It is the model, the blueprints, the structure, the physical makeup, description, however you want to call it, of our universe. Below us is hell, looking out into the material realm. And we'll get into what all that means. We'll do a good show tomorrow for you guys and hopefully get closer to the truth. And you're probably asking, how are you finding truth in an Illuminati TV series on HBO? Well, because the devil knows the truth, and he will use it to twist the truth. And that's exactly what they do in the series. And we're going to identify the deception in the series, subliminal deception, as they depict God as some sort of programmer who's put us into these bodies that they feel could easily be remanufactured into robots, or from robots, or into robots. They think that the evil ones think they can be God and create the very same reality that God has, but in their image, which is what the Bible says. And they depict God in this series as the manufacturer of our universe, and that all we are is these robots that are basically recreating or running these algorithms and predestined actions with a set limited amount of choices that can alter, or that can revise our life, but not completely alter it. That's what they want you to think. And they completely dismiss the truth, which is that this is not run by God, that this is run by the devil, and that he is the one causing all the chaos in this reality, and that we have been thrown a lifeline. and that God doesn't like killing and death and murder and all these things. And he's not allowing them to happen. He's given us a lifeline, and if we can find it, to escape. And a lot of that comes down to personal choices that we make. And he's getting no enjoyment. God is getting no enjoyment out of the chaos in this world. He hates evil. He wants none to perish. Sadly, many of us make our own personal choices that cause us to perish. And if we can just be still and know that he's God and step outside of our own dysfunction, then we can see the light. So that will be the show tomorrow. See Eva in the house, Mike, Don, Kuda Be Wrong, Candy's in the house, Biscuit, Keith. Thanks you guys for showing up. I forgot tomorrow's Easter Sunday. We're going to do the show at 10 a.m. for those of you that can make it. If not, no worries. It'll be published. And that's about it, you guys. I guess I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Much love.